Hey guys, you're here with D.I.Y, and we are working on a 2020 Chevy Silverado. This is a HD 2500. Does have a bit of a nicer grille on it. More room to actually install that front camera. I don't have that bow tie to deal with. So this is going to be a little bit different, but a cool install. So I'm going to go through the install of the front camera for you, show you how that works, how to get it into the cab. And then we're going to be putting one of our camera modules on, so I'll show you what's involved. Both our modules installed the same way, so I'll cover that in the second half of the video. Depending on how this goes, we may cut it and then come back for part two, but I will go ahead and get rolling. So, if you have a big truck like this, you may need a step stool, but there are some, I call them tree clips in here. Basically, all these holes we've already kind of pre-moved. You'll need a dash panel tool. You can get these easily on Amazon. Don't have to get the metal ones, but I will tell you for these type of clips, the metal ones are better. Just search dash panel removal tools or automotive panel removal tools. Will probably get you the metal ones, but you can get these fairly inexpensive on Amazon. Middle portion comes up, and then the bottom portion will just pop right up like that. And then when they go back in, you just simply insert it, push that back down. So set that aside. Got to remove all these guys so we can get access in behind here. And then GM did put some screws, they're T15s, on the hood release. So we'll go ahead and undo that. That's going to allow this to slide off. Now we'll allow this to now pop up and set out of the way. So that now gives us room to work in behind here. Now, do need to watch on your truck. Some of these have louvers that maneuver. So when we got to go around these, which I'm going to do on the install. So I'm basically going to bring it up through the corner right here. I'll come in right through here and over. And then I'll bring it and route it around and up through the cab. So I'll show you that here in just a moment. So these come in super handy. Go to Home Depot or Lowe's. In the electrical section, they sell these in 3-foot. They're 3-foot zip ties. Just cut the end off. Now you've got a nice tool to fish wire through, basically. So we'll get that ready. And then I'm going to prep the lower area where the camera is going to go. Now the camera does come with double stick tape, which in all reality, if this is prepped right, there's no need for screws. I do go ahead and put both on though. So I like to get it marked first. Then sometimes you can take the camera off to get access, just kind of depends. One little small screw comes out. Just want to make sure you get the camera back in the proper position before you put it back together, otherwise it's going to be upside down. But, so we'll start by prepping. Towels, Windex, or even better is rubbing alcohol. Go ahead and get your surface as clean as possible. And you're gonna want to get your where you're going with. Don't have to deal with that extra grill. So this is gonna be a super nice one. So know about where you're gonna go. Heat gun is your friend on these guys. So you clean the surface really well and you heat this, both this area and the surface you're going to. It allows that sticky to bond to it really well. And in all honesty, I mean NASCAR uses this stuff. It doesn't come off very easily. It does come with 2 little screws though as well. And then on here, without burning your fingers, you can kind of see the texture start to bubble and change, and that's how you know you're getting warm. Basically that gets it extra sticky, and then typically a razor blade helps. I didn't have one in my hand like I normally do. So now it's a matter of just getting it on there. That's why you want to pre-fit it, so you know about where you want it. And once it's stuck, you don't really want to pull it back off, otherwise you're going to compromise the adhesive. Try and get it right the first time, And then I like to go through with some pressure flat tool. Screwdriver works great. Ultimately, that's on there pretty good. But there is 2 slots, which you can kind of see right here and right here in the kit. A little baggy. Now, if you want to go through putting this on, you can go through and then cap this on the back side, but it's super hard on these grills, and these grills are not fun to get off. So if you want to go through all that work, you can. I usually just go in with these 2 guys right here. So these 2 are in the kit. This is a 16th, just enough to get a hole started basically. So all I'm doing is a pilot hole. You may be saying, what about car washes? I've had mine on my personal truck since 2016. And been through the car wash hundreds of times, and it's never once even compromised. So if you take your time and just do this right, you don't need to worry about it coming off. Nice and easy. And snug it up. You don't need to wrench it down. And just like that, camera's on. Now, this will have some adjustment. Once we get the interface on, we can move this up and down and then tighten that back screw as we need to. But that'll give you your adjustment. Now we just need to route this through. So this guy will come into play. Notice I'm staying right on the face of the grill here, guys, so I'm not going to interfere with those louvers. Those do move up and down for airflow as you're going down the road, so you don't want your camera in the way. I'm going to come up right in the corner. Got to be slow and patient with it. Alright, now we're in there. Got a couple places, just kind of get this as snug as possible. Now we're going to find a spot up here to kind of tie it, which this little housing right here. I'm actually going to come around this other way. I'm going to use some of this bracketry to kind of secure it. Handy so you can see what the heck you're doing. So the key here is just to get it tight. I'm probably going to put a small hole there so I can secure this right there. And then up here, you'll notice all kinds of other harnesses. So now it's a matter of, I always like to pay attention to how I route things, because people have to work on these vehicles eventually. And you don't want your harnessing and cables to where brackets and stuff can't come off. They got to cut cables, and that's just going to make life bad. So if I come up this way, it's completely out of everything's way, and I just follow this harnessing that's already here. Secure it, make it look real nice along the way. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. So we're pretty tight right here. Looks nice all through here. It's out of the way. Plenty of room for adjustment. I always have zip ties on hand. This will route over this way. Again, we're just going to follow some harnessing that's already there. This truck's already equipped with a bunch of extra equipment, so you're not going to see a lot of this stuff in your truck, but you will have some factory harnessing here that you can access and connect to, just like that. And then if we get this untaped here, this you want accessible. If this camera ever needs to be changed, likely this is the only part you'll have to change. Well, that's actually not true. I'm going to point out another piece in there, but you're going to want this to where it's easy to get to. So we've already pre-ran this. I wasn't going to put you through the pain of watching that, but I will show you. So this needs to go in here. It's got a little key in there. It's got little arrows which are hard to see, but if you twist it, you'll feel it lock into place. And then you got to make sure it clicks and locks in there. And then before this install is done, I'm going to tape this up real well. Also, disregard these. Most of the time these come taped up anyway, but if not and you see them, disregard them. You're not going to use them on this install. Completely disregard. We're going to keep this up right around here in this area, and then this portion is the one that's going into the cab right now. So GM did provide a nice little area right there going through the firewall for wires to go through. So right down there, there's a nice little area for wires to go through. This particular truck has already got wires taking up that space. We tried to go through that, didn't work out. So if you go keep it snug on the fender here, you can drop it straight down. And you can see our harness right there coming down. So we'll get in here and make a tie as well. But come in here to the cab. I use the 3/8 bit because you got to get that bigger round DIN cable to go through, and then this is going to need to be sealed up. So you can avoid fighting all that if you want, because it's not fun. I'll show you. Go ahead and get this semi snug. Then this is going to be filled in with silicone, so we don't have to worry about leaking. And then our module, guys, is going to go right down here and tie into the radio, which I'll show you here in a second. But while I got you down here, you can see where those wires are coming through, the wires that are already in the car there. And that's where you got to bring it through. Now, in a lot of the trucks, there's a power inverter that sits right here, the power inverter module that's in the way. So you got to get that out of the way. And then it's still super tight to work with. So FYI, that's the hardest part. If you don't want to fight that, come through here, seal it back up. All your connections are literally going to be made right here. Actually, one more thing to point out. So on these harnesses, this is a voltage reducer that the manufacturer puts on. And they've supposedly made these better, but I have had problems with these. Now they're covered under warranty, but when these go out, this section of the harness has to be replaced. So keep that in mind. If you have a camera issue at all, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be this. They were supposed to make some enhancements on these. These are fresh shipments from overseas, so hopefully that happened. But this is 9 times out of 10 what has to be replaced. So keep that in mind when running this. If you do have to replace this section of the cable, you'll want it to be as easy as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and get things secured up. I've got to get some things prepped in here. I'll be back in about 20 minutes or so for part 2 to show you putting the module in.